Hi everyone, it's Renee LaDolce from College Out of the Box, and today we are going to be talking about how you can be financially responsible now so that you can live the life you want. And I just want to give a special note before I start is usually I give this talk to teenagers across the United States, but I have found that a lot of adults need to hear the same information and need the encouragement as well. So it would be great if you can get your teens to maybe come in and watch this video with you. It may spark some great conversations between you and your teen, as well as, it might remind you of a few things or mistakes you've made in the past or things that worked for you in the past. Maybe you'll have some of your own personal advice to give your teenagers at the end of this whole talk. So like I said, it might spark some great conversations. So the little summary I have usually in the little bulletins before I give this talk says this: we were once over $200,000 in debt and sinking fast. True story. Something had to change. Within a couple of years, we had it all paid off, and within a few more, we were mortgage free. My financial bad decisions started when I was in college, so don't make the same mistakes I did. So in this session, learn how to get your financial priorities straight, avoid common pitfalls that teenagers make financially, pay off your debts as quickly as you can, and discover some great money-saving tips. I'll also teach you the secret method. I taught my son on how to set himself up financially for life, and I'll do that at the end. So let's jump right in. When I talk to teenagers across the states, I always ask these questions at the beginning. I always say, who here likes to spend money? Raise your hand, right? Who likes the sporty cars or the designer clothes or going to the mall or going out with their friends, right? Raise your hand. And of course, everybody in the room usually raises their hand. And I can say most adults like the same things. We see something we like, we want to get it. And then I ask, who thinks that they'll have a furnished house, their dream job, and be going out with their friends and family, out on the town every night as soon as they graduate college? Raise your hand. And I would say a majority of the students are always raising their hand. They're thinking they're going to have a fully furnished house, their dream car, their dream job, and be able to go out and do whatever they want as soon as they graduate college. And that's a great thought to have, but sometimes we need to sit down and have some realistic talks with our teens about, you might not have the dream house right away. You might have to work your way up to it, or you might have to work your way up to that dream car or what have you. Now I ask, how many of you have credit cards at this young age? Or do you owe any money whatsoever in any type of form, either through, with a credit card? Do you owe money on your car? Do you owe money to your parents or friends? Any kind of debt you owe. Who owes money? And I can say, again, a majority of the teenagers are raising their hands when I ask this question. So right away, I'm seeing that debt mentality, that buy now, pay later mentality is forming very young within our teenagers. And that is something that we kind of need to nip in the bud or at least talk about while they are young, so they don't get into the trouble that we got into personally in our family. So let me tell you a little summary, a shortened summary of our story. So we got married, my husband and I got married within a year of me graduating college. And, of course, first, you're right out of college. We were struggling financially. We had low paying jobs at that time, and we thought that we could just buy what we wanted when we wanted. Within a few years, our income increased a little bit, so we thought, hey, now we can really buy what we want when we want, and we wanted to live that good life right away. And you see your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and uncles all living their lives, and you think you can have the same things they have, that they have built years, accumulating and saving over time. But we just, like any young couple, figured we can do it now, and we'll buy now, pay later, and we would be able to afford it in the future because we'll get raises and promotions and all that. And we were kind of borrowing from the future. And what ended up happening is we started getting a little bit in debt, and then a little bit more in debt, and eventually majorly in debt. At one point, my husband got laid off his job. They were downsizing, and he got laid off his job. During this same period of time, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, raising my son and homeschooling, so I did not have a job, so we were a one-income family. We had our car stolen right out of our driveway during this time, and our house was getting close to being foreclosed on. Not due to a fault of ours, but it was a long story, but our escrow account and everything got all messed up, and they wanted the money right away. We did not have it because we were in debt. We couldn't pay for it, and so our house was going into a pre-foreclosure. So at that moment, they always say, bad things come in threes. Well, a tornado was swirling around us at this time, and we realized we hit rock bottom at that point, and we realized something really, really has to change. So we made some drastic changes, which is a whole story of its own. I do teach a Get Out of Debt course every week, and we tell our story. So if any of you want to know it, I can, let you know it. But within a couple of years, after we decided this is it, we are going to change, within a couple of years, we had all of our debts and our cars paid off. We ended up selling our house and moved to an apartment. We downsized for a while, and then we were able to buy our next house in cash just a few years later. So we were completely debt-free within, I think it was a 6.5 to 7 year period, completely debt-free from all of our debt to no debt whatsoever. So, looking back on the whole thing, I realized that my financial bad decisions really kind of started as I was a teenager. So I really love talking to teenagers to try to get to them early, and so they can not make the same mistakes we did, right? So my parents never really taught me much about money other than how to coupon or save money here or there. Nor did my school. Unfortunately, schools these days really don't teach much about finances. That's really our jobs as parents. I didn't have my financial priorities in order. I never really thought about the future. I just figured, things will work out, right? I'll get a job. I'll keep getting raises. Things will work out. I'll be able to pay for things, and that's kind of what society tells us to, the whole buy now, pay later mentality is prevalent in society, and they think, they say if you want it, get it. You can pay for it later, or there'll always be money later. And that is kind of borrowing from the future. And like the Bible says, you are slave to the lender, and I don't want any of you to be slaves. And it is a slave type of mentality where if you owe money to somebody, you can't use that money for what you want to use it for. You are obligated to pay it to someone else. And so you can't use it for what you want to use it for. So again, that's lack of freedom that you have. So I always thought it was my money. I want it. I deserve it. I'm going to get it, And so I learned over the years that that's not a very great mentality to have. So I started talking to a lot of teenagers across the country about college. And if you'd ever want to know about college and how we did college in less time for a lot less money with no student debt, you can watch my video, College Out of the Box. But that is really what kind of started this whole thing, and talking to teenagers about student loan debt and not getting into other debt, because not only do many students graduate college with a huge student loan debt, but a lot of them actually graduate with a huge credit card debt as well. And the colleges will start your teenagers getting those credit cards right away. Like as soon as they step foot on the college campus, there's going to be all those credit card, people lined up the road trying to get your children to sign up for some credit cards. So the first advice that I would give all of you is, if you haven't done so already, is to get the Dave Ramsey Complete Guide to Money book for sure and read it. Go through his teen workshop. He's got DVDs, he's got books. One of his DVDs specifically geared towards teens is Foundations in Personal Finance, which I love. I actually do that video with my adult group as well, because it is just so relevant for every kind of money issue. And a lot of adults have not been taught as teens or growing up about money. So this is a perfect video to watch. It's called Foundations in Personal Finance. And I made this a graduation requirement for my son. Another book and video series that is tremendous and that will make you look at money in a whole different light. It's Robert Morris's book or videos. It's called The Blessed Life. You can get these through bookstores. I think he's even got YouTube videos on this. At the end, or on this link, I'll have a link to all the handout with all the books and videos I've used over the years, which would be a great reading list for your teen as well as for yourself. Okay, so first, you have to have your financial priorities in order. And what I mean by this is to really think about how you picture your future life, how it's going to be, what you think it's going to be like, and how and what it's going to take to get there. It's not going to just happen. You're not going to just wake up one day and be a millionaire, right? Or you're not going to just wake up one day and have your dream house. So you have to think about what it is that you really want in life. Do you want to have money for cars, home, travel, to give to missions, to be a blessing to others, to own your own company, to retire comfortably on? It won't just happen. You have to have a plan. You can't think that it's too far off in the future and that you don't need to think about it now. And I'm going to give you a scenario a little bit later to show you that that is so not the case. And you are going to thank me to teach you this little thing you can do now as a teenager. And one day you'll look back and you'll be like, I'm so glad I did that. And I'm so glad I started early. Okay. So I'm going to teach you what I taught my son, that the easiest way to start dividing up your money from your very first job. So as soon as you start getting a job, whether it's part-time job, full-time job, and this is something you teenagers can teach your parents, because I know for a fact that most of them probably need help in this area as well. But if you think of a pie, this is a great way to divide up your money. 10% of that pie, of whatever you're earning, 10% of your money should go to tithes. Now you have to realize, and I know a lot of people think, oh, tithing, I've heard about that or whatever, but you have to realize that the money is not yours. It's not yours. It's from God. And this is what you have to give first. Not at the end, not after you pay all your bills. You have to give the 10% first. And I will tell you that you will live better on 90% of your money than on 100% of your money. In our finances, really, when we were trying to get out of debt, until we learned this one simple truth, is that this money is not ours, and we should be giving 10%, at least 10%, the first 10% of our money. Until we got that down, we could not get out of debt. No matter what we did, it felt like we were banging our head against a wall. But as soon as we got this little principle down, our finances turned around, and it became so much easier. And I heard a quote, I once heard this way in the past, and it said, it's so much better to live on 90% of blessed money than 100% of cursed money. And I can tell you for a fact that is so true. And if you have never watched, again, the Robert Morris videos called The Blessed Life, you really, I just encourage you so much to watch those videos, because it will change your perspective on money and tithing. And maybe half of you haven't even heard of what tithing is. But as soon as you get this principle, knowing that the money is not ours, it's God's, and it's a blessing from God, and you understand the principle behind that, it'll change your financial life around. I promise you. So 10% of the pie goes to tithing or giving. Then 20% will go to savings. Now, the first thing you want to do is save for an emergency fund. It should be about $1,000 that you don't touch. It's only there for an emergency. And pizza and gas and things like that are not emergencies unless you absolutely have no money for gas to get to work. This is there so you don't have to use a credit card, for example, when your car breaks down, or when your air conditioning goes out or something happens. You want to have $1,000 in liquid cash somewhere, whether it's in savings or somewhere that you can get a hold of quickly and easily, so you don't have to use a credit card and go more into debt, okay? Then after that $1,000, you want to at least at some point save between 3 to 6 months of income in a savings account. Again, you don't touch this. This is like your emergency fund in case something major happens. For example, you lose a job and you need to pay your bills, or a medical emergency comes up, or something along those lines. And then after you have maxed out those, your $1,000 emergency savings, and then your 3 to 6 months savings, what you want to do is you want to start saving in IRAs and 401ks and for your retirement. And yes, teenagers, you should be thinking about retirement now, and I'll show you why in a little bit. And you definitely want to get that compound interest working for you now. But I get questions a lot about 401ks. And just briefly, I'm just going to say, if your company matches any sort of money in your 401k, you want to start contributing to that right away, even before you have your whole $1,000 saved up or your 3 to 6 months saved up, because that's money that you'll be losing. So you want free money. So if they're going to match any kind of money in your 401k, you want to at least be putting enough in your 401k up to their match, okay? But then you want to get your $1,000, your 3 to 6 months savings, and then after that, start saving for investments and future and retirement and all that, okay? And then, so 10% for giving, 20% for saving, 70% is what you live on. So the rest of the pie, 70% is what you live on. Now, I also tell people, and I've always told my son, you should be living on 50% or less. And then you have 20% left over for fun or doing things or saving for travel or saving for clothes or entertainment or things like that, or maybe a new car or whatever it is that you want. But if you are living on more than 50% of your income to pay your bills, then that means you are living above your means. And as a matter of fact, my husband and I actually now, we live, I think it's less than 30% of our income is what we spend on bills. Because remember, we're debt free. So once you get debt free, it should be pretty easy to live on less than 50% of your income, okay? So the rest we use for investments, missions, savings, fun things, travel, all the stuff we love to do. So this is where your budget comes in, and there are a lot of free worksheets online that you can download to do that. You can figure out your budget. But I really don't want to get into much detail on all this because, again, you can learn this stuff online from Dave Ramsey, reading the book. He'll go into a lot more detail on that. What I really want to get into and focus on are some of the common pitfalls that teenagers fall into and make financially. So the first pitfall that many teenagers fall into and that we learned from the very beginning is using credit cards. I always say if you don't have cash, you can't buy it. You should have one credit card for emergencies and maybe a debit card that you can use instead. And I always say cash is king. You can get so many more deals if you actually use cash. And I want to warn you that as soon, and I told you before, that as soon as you go to college, you are going to be bombarded with the credit card offers. And not only that, they're going to try to entice you with all those free things like free pizza if you sign up for a credit card, or free t-shirts, or free whatever. And I see these teenagers going up and down the rows just signing up for these credit cards and getting all their free gifts. But if you start using that credit card, which they say, I think it's like 99% will, even though you say you'll just get the credit card and you won't use it until emergency or whatever, 99% of students will use the credit card. You'll have to pay interest on it, or maybe a yearly or even monthly fee as well. The bills will start piling up, and you realize that that free pizza or free t-shirt that you got at the beginning will cost you a couple $100s in the long run. Is it worth it for that? I don't think so. These credit card companies are smart. They know if they can get a card in your hand, you will use it. And most likely, you'll only pay the minimum amount each month. And most actually end up delinquent or having to pay extra fees at some point as well. So these credit card companies know what they're doing. So anything that you buy on a credit card that you don't pay off right away and only pay the minimum on, usually will cost you double or triple the amount in the long run. So think about this. Let's say you bought a jacket for $100, right? And you only pay the minimum amount on the credit card. By the time you pay it off, that $100 jacket will actually end up costing you anywhere between $200 to $300 with interest and fees and everything else. Is that jacket really worth that? Think about what you could be using all that extra money for instead, right? So that is a pitfall that I see teenager after teenager after teenager fall into as soon as they go to college, and even sometimes beforehand in high school. There is a statistic out, this, like I said, the average student graduates with about $40,000 of student loan debt, and that's a conservative number. There are so many more with much more than that. And then the other statistic says that not only with student loan debt, but credit card debt. And the credit card debt average for students anywhere between $12,000 to $24,000 of credit card debt when they graduate college. So you're adding that on top of your student loan debt. So you're graduating college with this huge amount of debt. So please, please, please don't make that mistake and don't do that. So if you're going to have a credit card, make sure you know exactly how it works, read all that small print, Stay up to date on all your payments and make sure you don't pay any delinquent fees or any other fees that you accrue over time, okay? So the second mistake I see many teenagers make is they're going into debt for college. Like I said, I teach a get out of debt course every week. And the number one question I get from adults and students and everybody alike is, how do I get out from under these student loan debts? They're killing me. And unfortunately, I have to tell people there's no way out. You have to pay these off. Please, if you ever think of taking out student loans or accruing student loan debt, please, I beg you, just go on YouTube and watch for a half hour even, a few of the thousands and thousands and thousands of videos out there of people who are drowning in debt. I guarantee that if you watch just a few of those, it will change your mind about filling out those forms. You don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to do that to your children. Please watch those videos and see what happens. These people are drowning to the point where many of them have to move back home. It's a statistic that says 85% of students who graduate college have to move back home for a number of reasons. One is the student loan debt. Number two is they're underemployed or unemployed. And number three is their credit card debt and other debt they accrue, as well as low-paying jobs or the job market in general. So 85% of students have to move back home because they can't afford to live on their own yet. You don't want that for your student. Once you get them out and get them, grown and flown, you want to make sure they stay flown, right? So do your research. I'll tell you, like I said, after watching those videos, you are not going to want to do it. There are plenty of ways that you can get your college degree without going into debt. So do your research. Again, I have a whole talk on how you can get your college degree in less time, for less money, for under $6,000. You can watch my free YouTube video. It's called College Out of the Box. Go to my webpage, www.collegeoutofthebox.com. There's a lot of information on there for you. So too many people have put off their dreams, their major life decisions, like marriage, like buying a car or buying a house or having children or traveling or even saving up for retirement because of student loan debt. So I don't want that for you, and I'm sure parents, you don't want that for your children as well. So another pitfall teenagers and adults make is paying too much for their car. Cars depreciate the moment you buy them. So you should never have a car payment or finance a car. And I know that is, a bold statement to make, and many people say, well, you'll always have a car payment. But we used to have a car payment. Once we got those paid off, we have never had a car payment since, and we've had 5 or 6 cars since. We have 3 cars right now, and we bought all 3 for less than the price of one. So note, always buy used and always be ready to walk away from a deal, okay? You have to be willing to do that. You also have to do your research. So I always ask teenagers, who here wants to be independent? Raise your hand, right? And everyone always raises their hands. They're like, yes, I want to get out of the house. I want to be on my own, right? But then I say, yeah, I'm probably going to be stepping on some toes here, but if your parents buy you things, especially if you're 17 years old, 16, 17, and have a job or older, and if your parents bought you your car, is that being independent? And at that point, I get a lot of oohs or whatever. Now, I don't know of any teenager who would ever turn down a car if their parents bought them a car. Of course, they're going to accept it. But your parents will not be buying you cars for the rest of your life, right? And soon you need to step up and provide for yourself. And what a way to show that you're becoming independent is if you can start paying your own things, paying for everything that you want by being financially smart with your money, right? My son actually started paying for all of his own things, including the groceries he wanted, by about age 14 or 15 when he started earning his own money. He had a few part-time jobs growing up. And now we would always offer to buy him stuff. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to buy his own groceries or what have you, but he wanted to be independent, and he actually offered to buy his own groceries and buy his own clothes and do his own thing because he wanted to show that he was independent. And actually, by doing that, This actually made his transition into adulthood a lot smoother, especially since, if those who know our story, he graduated high school and college by age 17 and he was out on his own by age 19. So it made that transition smoother for him, you know, growing into adulthood, especially since he was out on his own at such a young age. So we didn't have any of those financial problems with him that a lot of people do with their children. So the best ways to get a car is through auctions or police repo auctions, and you can find these out online through the newspaper. You know, just do a little bit of research, find out when an auction is going to be. We get a lot of our cars through dealership auctions, and they have been incredible cars. And of course, at an auction, you can't be too picky. You have to have an idea of what you're looking for, but maybe the color might be different or the make or model of the car might be a little bit different. But if you have a general idea of what you're looking for, and if you have a mechanic or are a mechanic and you can like check over the car, auctions are a great way to get really great cars for low price. We can get a year or a 2-year-old car for under $5,000. It's great. Also, a better way is through a private seller, and always bring cash to make a deal. For example, if you go to I always say don't ever go to car dealers. You'll always end up paying way too much for cars unless you know somebody in the dealership or something like that. But even then, I would never go to a car dealership. I would always go to a private seller. And that way you can also negotiate, and if you bring cash and they're saying that the car is, let's say, $5,000, and you say, well, I only have $4,500, but I have it here in cash, do you think they're going to turn you down? Most often than not, they will accept your offer of cash, $4,500 versus their $5,000 original price, right? Like I said, cash is king, and cash can get you deals many, many times. Okay. Also, a great place to buy cars is rental companies. Rental companies regularly sell their old vehicles for far cheaper than you'll find in a dealer lot. And then I know this one's controversial, but junkyards. If you don't care what kind of car you have, junkyard and salvage yards frequently receive like old junkers, or sometimes these cars are actually not junkers. And they're if you are good with building a car or good with maintenance and upkeep and stuff, you might find a really good car with good bones that you can buff up and make better on your own time. So this might be another option for some of you. Also, cars, you can go to junkyards and salvage yards for parts too, if you ever need cheap parts. So you might want to ask around for that. And then again, always ask around, because someone always knows someone who is willing to sell or pass on a car to a teenager for cheap, right? We've gotten many cars for many teenagers just by putting the word out at church. Hey y'all, we have a teenager who's ready for a car. Does anyone want to sell their old car or something like that? Okay. And then another pitfall teenagers fall into, and many adults again, is shopping. Shopping. There are other ways to get what you want without spending all that money. First of all, I know it's fun to hang out with your friends and go to the mall and hang out and window shop. Y'all say you're just gonna go to the mall to look, right? But how often do you actually just look? Most likely when you're out with your friends or going out and you say you're gonna window shop, you usually end up bringing something home from your little shopping trip, right? Well, how can you prevent that from happening? Let's think about that. How about not going to the mall in the first place? Oh no, right? Or avoiding those places that you know are your pitfall. Like one of my pitfalls is the craft store, So I know that if I should not go to the craft store unless I have cash and unless I'm going there for a specific item, because I know that if I go there just to look, I'll end up leaving with something, right? So there are many ways you can get clothes and other items that you want for a deal. But for example, clothes. One of my favorite places is thrift stores. There are really some cool thrift stores out there, y'all. Here in Houston, I don't know if any of you are in Houston, but here we have something called the Family Thrift Center. And those are incredible thrift stores. Those are one of my favorites. So every city, every town has thrift stores. As a matter of fact, I just got back from Europe. I was traveling around, and for some reason, thrift stores seem to find me. I was just walking up and down the streets, and I ran in Greece. I ran into a thrift store. In France, I ran into a thrift store, and in Italy, I ran into a thrift store. I wasn't even looking for them. But there's thrift stores no matter where you're at. You can find thrift stores. You can find outdoor markets. You can find things. You can also host a clothing swap. You can shop online with free shipping. You can find things on eBay or Amazon or FreeCycle, clearance with coupons or coupon apps. You can check outlet malls or buy discounted gift cards. There's a thing, you can take advantage of other people's unwanted gift cards by buying them for as much as 25% off the face value. There's a site called giftcardgranny.com or cardpool.com. So you can use the savings to help fund your new wardrobe purchases. Those who work in clothing stores can use your employee discounts, but limit yourself to only 20%, remember your spending budget, and use those rental sites for special occasions instead of buying a dress or suit. For example, if you have a prom coming up or you have a big event coming up and you need like a special dress or something that you probably won't wear again, there are sites called Rent the Runway or Glam Corner or Her Wardrobe or Rocksbox for jewelry, etc. There's so many sites online. You also need to know the secret price codes of clothes for the lowest price. If you don't know, I challenge y'all to Google it. There are codes that stores use, and then you can look at the tag and you can know if that's the rock bottom price that clothes item is going to be. So Google for those secret price codes. Then there's also something called PropertyRoom.com. Property Room sells jewelry, electronics, coins, even bicycles that were confiscated by cops and never claimed. Their jewelry selection actually offers a variety of items and prices, some even as low as $1. Other ones include Bauble Bar, Girl Props, Topshop, Ex-Boyfriend Jewelry, Urban Peach Boutique, Bids, B-I-D-Z, Beyond the Rack, Ice.com, and Overstock. And I'm sure there's plenty more. I mean, y'all are probably way more tech savvy than I am, and you can find the deals. So always go online before you buy something and see if there's a lower price out there. Do not get the store credit cards. This goes back to not using credit cards. It's not worth it. Store credit cards, the interest rates on those are super high. You think you're getting a deal, but you're not. And all the stores do it nowadays. They'll ask you if you want to sign up and they'll try to give you a deal. It's like that credit card thing when you go to college and say, oh, you'll get a free pizza or a free t-shirt if you sign up for our card. The stores do the same thing. Don't get any store credit cards. Okay, so when shopping for anything, students especially, if you're in the military, if you are over a certain age, always ask for discounts. And students, ask if they have student discounts. Always, always, always ask. I always say it never hurts to ask. And they'll never just tell you. You have to ask. So you might as well ask and say, hey, do you have student discounts here? A question you should always have on hand as well is that the best price you can do? You should negotiate for everything. I go out and I negotiate everywhere I go. My son kind of hates it, but everywhere we go, I'll always say, is this the lowest price? Or is this the best you can do? Or can we get this thrown in? Or can we get shipping and handling off? Or what have you? Always try to find a better deal and always try to negotiate. So before you buy anything online or anywhere, go online and check for coupons and promo codes. This goes for food, for events, for concerts, for tickets, for clothes, for electronics, for pretty much anything. So anytime I'm going to buy something, I always go online, I compare prices, compare places, and then I also find out if there's any coupons out there or any coupon codes I can use. Now I know teenagers and kids just love going to the movies. There are so many ways nowadays you can get movies for free, and you can get deals on movies. For example, you can get free tickets through places like Fandango or MovieTickets.com. You can check the Wild About Movies free screenings page and learn about upcoming advanced screenings. My son and I used to do that all the time, and we would go to see movies for free all the time before they came out. So we would get the advanced screenings. There's one called GetScreening.com, AdvancedScreenings.com, or GoFobo. And like I said, we have done dozens of movies for free. Plus, a lot of them you'll get free swag when you go to them. So it's kind of fun. It's like in a little event that you're going to. Some of them will have food set up. Some of them will give you free swag. So it's always fun to go to those advanced screenings. Also, look for RSVP codes. If one of the sites above asks you for an RSVP code when you're on there, search online for the name of the movie, the location it's being screened in, and then the RSVP code or the access code. Searching on Twitter is also a good idea since companies will sometimes give away these codes to their followers, okay? You could also follow film marketing companies on social media. One of the largest of these is called Allied Integral Marketing's 43KIX, which has many local Twitter accounts in the United States. So that's a big one. It's called Allied Integral Marketing's 43KIX. To find more of these companies in your area, also look at the brand names on the advanced screening advertisements or your passes, or passes found through the sites above, or ask the people running the advanced screening event as well. So you can get some really great swag, free things for the future if you start following these media moguls. So I'm sure, like I said, some of you tech savvy people and teenagers out there can find many more, and you probably have many more ideas, but these are just some to get your brain thinking about things. And instead of just saying, hey, let's go to the movies and let's buy a ticket, there are ways you can get free tickets or free swag or free this or, free food at the movies or what have you. Okay? So for food, again, back to the teenagers, I know y'all love to eat. We all love to eat. But food you can get for free all over the place. Sign up for company emails and texts, download restaurant apps or restaurant loyalty programs. You can check out Raise.com for fast food deals as well as many other deals. I love that site. You can buy discounted gift certificates from Restaurant.com or Groupon. You can get a ton of free food for your birthday. All you gotta do is Google free food for birthdays or whatever and sign up to all of them, and then every time it's your birthday or your anniversary or something special coming up, you'll get a coupon in the mail through your email, or you'll get something through a text, or you'll get free items or whatever. We do this every year, and for our birthdays we just go around and we just collect all the free items from all the free places, and then we have like a big buffet at home and we have fun, or we go out and get free cake or whatever it is. So it's fun for your birthday. You can check receipts for freebies. A lot of times after you eat somewhere, at the bottom of the receipt, it'll say, hey, fill out this little form or fill out this survey and you get a free pizza or you get a free dessert next time or whatever it is. I know, let me think, what Panda Express, that's my son goes there a lot. He'll bring me home the receipt. I'll fill out the little form and I'll get a free item for the next time I go. That's just one example. You also can become a mystery shopper. Now, becoming a mystery shopper will not only get you free food, but it'll get you free clothes, free items, a whole bunch of free things, depending on what you're mystery shopping for. Okay? Another mistake that I see students make a lot is never asking for the deals or never asking for student discounts. Always have your student ID with you when you're out and about, and anytime you are going to go purchase anything, whether it's food or movie tickets or clothes or you're going to an event, always ask if they have student discounts, okay? You can save a lot of money just by asking that one little question. You can also ask for gift cards for birthdays and Christmas from your family. The Fat Wallet Forum thread is another great place to find deals. And for anything you're looking for, I always say just Google it. Make Google your new best friend. For example, if you're looking for electronics, just Google best places for inexpensive electronics or electronics coupons or codes or, the best deals or what have you. And it'll come up with a ton of things that maybe you never thought of, okay? Or you can even check Facebook Marketplace or any of those marketplaces on Facebook. You can get pretty much anything on there. And if any of you have not signed up for FreeCycle in your area, FreeCycle is incredible. I stocked up my whole exercise room with FreeCycle stuff, like a trampoline, hand weights, a pull-up bar, the bands, a whole bunch of things, videos, DVDs, so I've gotten many crafts through FreeCycle, and it's all free. It's things that people want to get rid of, they put on the site, and then you just go pick it up. And I've done that too. I've put a lot of stuff out on FreeCycle. Saturdays are probably a best day to look at FreeCycle because those are when people are getting rid of all their garage sale items, and then whatever they don't sell, they put on FreeCycle. Okay? So another mistake that many make is not opening an IRA or a Roth IRA as soon as you have earned income coming in. So let's say you start saving for your retirement at age 18. If you contribute a mere $25 per month to a Roth IRA with a return rate of about 7% annually, by the time you retire at age 65, you could have $105,681 in your account. That's just by investing $25 a month. That's it. Now, if you get a job that offers a 401k and that matches that money, like I said, start contributing to that one right away. I cannot stress enough, y'all. I cannot stress enough. Start saving now. Get that compound interest working in your favor. The earlier, the better. Okay? Another mistake people make, teens, and again, many adults, is usually they underestimate how things will actually cost, how much things will actually cost. For example, a car. You think, okay, I need to buy my car, so I have to pay for the car and I have to pay for gas, right? But what a lot of people don't think about, there's insurance, there's maintenance, there's inspections, there's gas, there's the annual registration fee, there's, in case you get into an accident, there's, you have to fix your car, or if you get a flat tire or what have you as you go, as you're maintaining this car, if you want to put a new stereo in it, or if someone breaks into your car or what have you. Think about all the costs. Like the Bible says, count the cost. And I don't think a lot of people just in general do this. They figure, oh, I can afford that house, but they're not thinking they need drapes for that house. They need insurance. They need flood insurance. They need, rental, home insurance. They need, maintenance on the yard. They need maintenance in case an air conditioning breaks or something. You got to think of all the costs that go along with it. Okay? So you have to consider the actual costs. That means how much something is, what the payments would be, and any extra costs that go along with it. But you also have to figure out the opportunity costs that you may be losing if you buy this particular item. For example, you may want to buy an expensive new car, but that means then you won't have money to travel or to buy the stereo you want, for example. Whereas if you bought a cheaper or a used car, then you may have money for both things that you want to do. Or maybe you might want to put off buying the car and carpool with your friends for a while, or ride the bus, or ride your bike, or what have you for a while, so you can invest that money to grow into seed money for your new business that you have in mind for someday. You always have to think about the opportunity cost that you are losing if you buy one thing and not another, or if you use your money for this and not another, right? My favorite expression, and my family just hates it because I say it all the time, is think things through. What are your goals, and what is the best decision that you can make to help you reach those goals? Okay? Failing to realize how the little things add up is another pitfall that many make. You can call it the latte factor, but your daily trips to Starbucks, or your half a pack of cigarettes per day, or the $100 a week at your favorite local bar or restaurant add up to thousands of dollars per year. If you can make just small modifications in this kind of spending, that can help you put aside more money for savings, retirement, or even paying down your debt or going towards a dream of yours. So little modifications, little changes in behavior can actually save you a lot in the long run. Another mistake people make is using ATMs. Stop using these. Unless you are getting money back free from your ATM, which some banks do if you get your fees back, stop using the ATMs. They will suck up your money so fast. Teens, and really a lot of pretty much everybody, make the mistake of getting into debt. They fail to budget, they overspend or impulse buy, and they don't save or invest. So if you can conquer those issues now, you will be financially stable for your future, okay? So don't fail to budget. Start saving now. Don't impulse buy, okay? Now, if you have some debt, let me show you how you can pay them off quickly. And Dave Ramsey, of course, goes into this called the debt snowball. But determine, number one, how much you owe and add up all your debts. Then number two, stop using credit cards or stop accruing more debt. Chop them up, give them to your parents, freeze them, do whatever it takes. From now on, if you don't have cash, you don't buy it, okay? Find your lowest debt and throw every single cent you get at it while you're paying the minimum on your other debts. All extra cash, birthday money, etc. goes to the smallest debt. Once that is paid off, you're going to make sure you don't rack that one up again, right? And then you're going to take that money that you've been paying towards your smallest debt, put it to your next smallest debt, and you're going to start putting all that extra money to that one. And any extra cash you get will go to that debt, okay? Like I said, Dave Ramsey calls this the snowball effect, and it works. I promise you, we've done it. It works. We've helped thousands of people do it, and it works. If you need to, get an extra part-time job or work overtime just temporarily so you can get these paid off quickly. You can sell some stuff, make cuts to your spending, cut out things you don't need, stop shopping for a while, etc. It's just a small little amount of time to get you out of debt, right? You don't want to start your life off in debt. You need to Google easy ways to make extra money each month. You can do that for a list of ideas. There's so many easy ways you can just bring in some extra cash, okay? Get those debts paid off quickly. Now, once your credit cards are all paid off and all your other debts are paid, do not start using them and get into debt again. Excuse me. You have to permanently change the behaviors that got you into debt in the first place. Now is the time to pay off your debts, now while you're young, before you have major commitments, before you have family or you're married with children. If you can break these bad habits and start positive habits now while you're young, they will carry over into the rest of your life. And you'll be so thankful that you mastered this now. Now, at the beginning, I promised you the secret of what you can be doing now to set yourself up financially for life. But first, I want to tell you a story about two high school graduates. The first one goes off to college. The other one finishes his college. The first goes off to college and he finishes his college degree. The other one finishes his college degree 1 year after high school. After earning many credits during high school, he gets his college degree done quickly, so earlier. So one goes off to college, one gets his college degree shortly after high school. Okay? The first guy, Jim, the first one who went off to college, he ends up taking an extra year to graduate. So instead of graduating in 4 years, he graduates in 5 years, right? And he ends up with thousands of dollars in student loan debt, okay? However, Jim did get a job paying him $100,000 upon graduation, since he went to Yale Law School, we'll say, okay? And he put $2,000 into his IRA every year and saved 10% of his income every year until retirement, every year. The second guy, we'll name him Steve. Remember, he also has his degree, but he got it early and with no debt. He got a job, but his salary was only $50,000. Remember, Jim is $100,000, Steve is $50,000. Because he was young, he started off at the bottom, but that's okay. Like the first guy, he put $2,000 every year into his IRA. But since he makes less, he only saves 5% of his income every year until his retirement. So the first guy's saving 10%, the second guy's saving 5%. Now, I'm not going to add interest here or the increase of their salaries over the years or promotions they get or their savings and investments to try to keep this simple, okay? So who do you think, after hearing this, one's making $100,000, saving 10%, one's making $50,000, saving 5%, but he started earlier, who do you think has more at retirement? Jim or Steve, first guy or second guy? Even though, it's very interesting, even though Jim was making twice as much and saving twice as much as Steve, and it looked like he was much better off, he ended up short. However, since Steve, the second guy, was smart with his money, he got his degree with no student loan debt, he was able to get into the workforce sooner and have no debts to pay back, Steve would actually make $1.5 million more than Jim, the first guy. Jim makes $6.8 million by the time he retires. Steve makes $8.3 million by the time he retires. So, the moral of this whole story is the sooner you start saving and the fact that you stay away from debt, no matter your salary, you can retire a millionaire many times over. So here's the trick. Number one, stay out of debt. If you're in debt, get out of debt as quickly as possible and start saving your money. Number two, take advantage of what I call the Dave Ramsey example, okay? If you start at age 19, this is what Dave Ramsey said, if you start at age 19 or even start earlier and save $2,000 in your IRA every year, $2,000 for the whole year, even if it's just for 8 years until you're 26. So even if you're just saving $2,000 for 8 years and then stop without putting any more money in and don't touch it until you retire at age 65, you will have over $2 million. $2 million versus someone who starts later, like at age 27, and he invests $2,000 every year for 38 years until he retires, until he's 65 years old. So he's saving all those years. He will only have 1.5 million. The first guy invested only $16,000 total, while the second guy invested over $76,000, and he still couldn't catch up. Because of the miracle of compound interest, and the earlier you start saving money, the better off you'll be set financially for life. So please, y'all, start now. Even though you're not even considering retirement, start now. Even if you can only save $50 a month or $100, do it and don't touch it. I guarantee you, one day you'll be so glad you started young. Ask your parents, see if they did this. If not, see if they regret it or not, right? I can tell you, we didn't start until we were later in life, and I regret it. So we taught our son early, and he's been saving since he's been 16 years old. He will be financially set for life because he started saving early, okay? So if you all want to know how my son got his accredited bachelor's degree by age 17, and for that it would have cost us around $6,000, but because of cash scholarships and cash contests he won along the way, his whole degree was literally free for us. You can check out my website or my video called College Out of the Box. The website is at www.collegeoutofthebox.com. Like I said, at the bottom of this, I will have the books and videos on hand as a document for you that you can download. You could read those books and videos to help get you set financially for life. But no matter what you do, think about your goals, figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, and figure out the best, most efficient, and least expensive way you can do it so you don't start life off in debt. Because it's really hard road to travel when you're trying to dig yourself out of debt as well as start your life off. I don't want that for you. I want better for you, and I know you can have it. So thank you all so much for listening. Hope you have a blessed day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.